So Florence, could you tell me about a personal experience of discrimination?
I guess this experience is sort of part of my work experience that has become really personal. I work for the Chinese Canadian National Council Toronto chapter, and on November 10th, Maclean's magazine came out with an article called Too Asian. Some frosh don't want to go to a university or an Asian university. So the gist of the article is that it's asking the question of whether there are too many Asians at Canadian universities, and that if they continue on this way and on this idea of meritocracy, that anyone who has the highest marks will get in, then there's going to be this racial imbalance at universities, meaning that there'll be too many East Asians, because this article is mainly targeting East Asians. If you look at the cover, the picture, it's actually two Chinese students holding a China flag. And throughout the article, it's interviewing a lot of, I guess, Chinese and Korean students. So this article, I felt like in so many ways was stereotyping Chinese students or Asian students and using this bracket of Asian to refer to so many different types of people, because Asian can mean so many different things, and assuming that Asians are all studious, basically only know how to study and ruin it for everyone else, because it also depicts white students as only wanting to party. And they interviewed these two white girls who say that they don't want to go to U of T because it's too Asian and it would interfere with their partying, and they would have to work too hard, and that's not a sacrifice that they're willing to make. So when this article came out, I read it and I couldn't believe that something like this was published by Maclean's, this national Canadian magazine. And so my boss at the time had a chance to meet with the editor and the publisher of Maclean's, and the message that they sent was that if you think this article is racist, you clearly haven't read it and you don't understand what racism means, because people have read this article and think it's great that we're bringing up really important issues on campus. And their last point was that youth today don't view racism the same way those older folks do. So when he came back with that, my partner in crime and I basically, we were the young people in the office, and we had heard a lot of discussion amongst our own friends on Facebook, people writing on their blogs and writing their own rebuttals to this article. And so we thought that we wanted to get some young people together to air their grievances and kind of explain and have a chance to rant as well as do something about it. Because when you're going against this giant like Maclean's that's owned by Rogers, where do you even start? So we had an event the following week, and there were about 100, I guess, community members. Some were students, some were people that were involved with our work, and others that I'd never, I don't think they had ever been involved in any type of activism. So I think this was a chance for it touched a lot of people in different ways. And for me, I never worked in activism at all. I never thought of myself as someone who could do anything. And so Chase and I thought, my partner in crime Chase and I thought we would just bring people together and let them come up with their own ways to, I guess, talk back to Maclean's. And I think for me, throughout all this, why it means so much is because there's so many messages in the media telling you who you are as an Asian or as whatever person of color you are or where you're from. And it's really frustrating because I can sprout off all these terms, they're calling you model minority, you're a perpetual foreigner, but basically to put it simply, you're made to feel like you don't belong. So I went to Queen's University, where I guess it's known to be, even in the magazine, as one of the schools where all the white kids go. So when I was at Queen's, I didn't feel very safe, and I didn't feel like I belonged. And that, similar to other stories, I felt like it was my own issue. And I didn't really understand, why I felt so uncomfortable there. And so this article kind of touched on that, because, the reason why I didn't feel like I belonged was because I think there are problems within the university and issues that they don't address that could make people feel alienated, and there are a lot of things that happened at Queen's during those 4 years, a few racist events, and it's the inactivity of the administration to do anything. And also I talk about this, like I only had one professor that was of color in 4 years, and that might have to do with me being in English literature, but I think for me it just left a bad taste in my mouth in terms of going back to school. So, you know, this article, it could have addressed so many important issues, like racism in faculty hiring, and also just among students, but it chose to target one group, and basically saying that you Asians are doing too well, so, you know, I guess we have to like push you down or kind of make that into a problem. So I think our actions have mostly been to do with fighting media and stereotypes in the media, and that's really hard because mainstream media is pretty tough to crack. So we're trying to find our own ways to create our own media, alternative media, and just raise awareness about different types of journalism. Like we're trying to reach out to journalism students as well to, like, you know, start them when they're still learning about the writing process, interviewing process. And we're trying to raise awareness with students as well, with events at universities, and get that discussion going. Because, I mean, not everyone agrees with what we're doing. I have friends that are like, why are you causing this big fuss? Like, this isn't racist at all. And so we're constantly having to explain ourselves. But at the same time, like, I feel it, like, I never question myself. Like, sometimes I still get really angry. It's been 4 months since the article came out, and it's hard to sustain that rage. But, you know, when you're surrounded by people that feel the same way and support you, I think that is the key, that you're not alone in this. Like, I can picture, like, if I hadn't been involved in this organization, I would have been at home reading this and just getting so angry and thinking, I can't do anything, it's just me. So I think it's so important to find community and to be able to, I guess, find others that are like-minded, because all through my years at Queen's I felt like I was alone. And it was only until I started meeting people like Maclean and Chase, like younger people that had gone through similar experiences, so let me know that I wasn't, like it wasn't me, it wasn't my own issue, and that we have the ability to I guess, fight back to people, especially Maclean's magazine. I don't know, Maclean's has had a history of publishing pretty like Islamophobic articles, and there was one that was anti-Quebec. So I don't understand how a magazine like this that is supposed to expound the views of Canada or what is Canadian can ask this question. And they stand by this journalism. They think it's pure reporting, and they're just bringing up issues that they heard on campus. But there is no admission of any type of racism or discrimination in that article. And I think at this point we're not really hoping for an apology. I don't think they're going to give it to us, but we're still going to keep talking about it and keep this issue alive, because it keeps coming back. Like with this UCLA YouTube video of Asians in the library, like it's pretty easy to see when you think about videos like that, that these issues are here and that we need to deal with them. And in some ways I'm glad that these things have happened, because it's kind of awakened a lot of people. But the key is to not feel like you're alone and to feel like you actually can do something about it.
Did you want to mention some of the websites that people can go to if they want to get involved?
I guess for more information on 2Asian, you can go to www.facebook.com/2AsianTalkback. That's pretty much where all the information is posted, and we have different events, and all the information is there. So.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Florence.